Hello everyone, good to be back with a live stream, and I hope there will be no technical issues, or at least too many technical issues, because as I said earlier, I have to stream through VPN, and therefore speed of internet with VPN not always as I would like it to be. But I listen to requests of our members of our community. Many times I was asked to resume these community chats on Sundays, and that's what I'm gonna try to do. If there will be no too many, at least, technical issues, if you are okay with the streams, please share your take on this in the comment section, and I will listen to you. If it's good, then I will continue with live streams every Sunday at least, so that we can have opportunity to exchange opinions on any topic really in real time. So that's been said. Let's go through some news now. I guess as I was always doing, I will share with you some news that was reported during the day, and simultaneously I will monitor donation alerts. If any question through donation alert, I will of course pay attention to it straight away. Also, if during the stream there will be any questions through PayPal platform, I will answer to those questions too. And also I will monitor chat, dear friends, and of course I will be engaged during this stream. So let's start. Once again, sorry, dear friends, if there will be too many technical issues. I hope it's gonna be okay. So there we go. And dear friends, as you know, whenever I start working day, it's first on Telegram, and greetings is my first post. Then today I shared the link to first update, and after that this news that a suspect detained by Russia's security services, who was involved in a fatal Donetsk car bombing. I reported about this car bombing a couple of weeks ago, and this criminal was apprehended today. According to reports that I see in the Russian segment of internet, Kiev regime security services promised $10,000 to this criminal to participate in this terrorist attack, as a result of which car blew up, car was destroyed basically in Donetsk, I believe. Also, dear friends, major news, of course, breaking news for today is that two Russian tankers experienced an emergency situation in a Kerch Strait, on the black side of their strait, as far as I can tell. And unfortunately, as you can see on this video, at least one of their tankers break in half. It is the rough seas, as you can see. And on one of the channels, I saw a report that one of the tankers was carrying over 4,000 tons of oil products, mazout, if I remember correctly. So it's an ecological disaster now. Also, crew members of both tankers were evacuated safely, according to reports, and now Russian government created a special group to work to minimize consequences of this disaster. On internet, straight away, rumors start circulate that this was Kiev regime's drone strike on tankers. Member of our community, Nikos, also asked this question. You can see in the chat. If Kiev regime was involved in this, I did not see in Russian segment of media any reports that Kiev regime was involved, or Kiev regime's drones were targeting these tankers. As you can see in this video, seas are rough, really rough, and if those waves can break huge tanker, relatively huge tanker, then you can imagine what these waves can do to well, unfortunately, I can see that there are some issues with the connection. Sorry for that, dear friends, if there will be some issues with the buffering. But yes, this is a relatively small tankers that are operating between river and sea. And I guess they were not ready. These tankers were not ready for this such a, this rough weather, and error was made, and as a result, result you can see on your screen right now. Also, I shared today information that 2 drones were shot down over the Grozny, and 1 drone bypassed our defense systems and targeted Akhmat Grozny Special Forces barracks. You can see video of that attack, plane type of drone. No details, I didn't see any details about casualties. Head of Chechen Republic, and Grozno is of course capital of Chechnya. Head of Chechen Autonomous Republic, Kadyrov, stated that there was no casualties as a result of this strike. Building was damaged, and a number of channels on Telegram reported that Russian armed forces conducted almost immediate retaliatory strike, and in Kharkov, I believe, point of concentration of Kiev regime's forces were attacked, and Kiev regime suffered around 200 losses, according to some reports that I see. And dear friends, also questions, of course. I have to go through chat. I will monitor, as I said, donation alerts. Links you can see under this video description box. Nothing on donation alerts. So let's go back to chat. Hello everyone once again, and thank you all for participating in this stream. So question, if you can, dear friends, please write big Q, capital Q before question, or entire question in capital letters, so that I will notice it straight away. So I have to, okay. So let's go through questions. Emilia Pogegeno is asking about the North Korean troops. I can't imagine North Korea are fighting, especially because Zelensky said so. Rather, they are Russians from Irkutsk or Yakutsk, Siberia. Well, dear friends, I know Western Kiev regime, first of all, and then Western propaganda outlets, Western so-called politicians are speculating with the topic of North Korean troops that are allegedly in a zone of special military operation or in zone of counter-terrorist operation in the Kursk salient area. Yesterday, even big channels in alternative media start saying that is it factual that North Koreans actually are participating, and some videos are circulating of some troops are moving through the fields. I saw those videos, by the way, and I definitely cannot tell you who those troops are, right? Probably many of you also see those videos, and you also cannot say, are these troops even Russian or Ukrainian? It's just a footage from a drone. You can see some troops are moving, but these troops are from where and from which army, you definitely cannot say. So first of all, some footage of some troops moving around, this is not evidence of that can confirm anything, really, right? And after all, I don't really see a reason why would Russian general staff allow North Korean troops, few dozens of thousands, or what, participate in in military operations. This is too much of a headache for the Russian side, right? I can imagine that North Korean leadership may ask Russia to allow North Korean troops to participate in military operations to gain some experience in modern high-intensity combat, which can be useful, obviously, for North Korean army, because if Russia would allow number of North Korean troops to participate, then they will share experience to other North Korean troops, right? And they will gain upper hand in this regard compared to, let's say, South Korean troops. And we all know about standoff between North and South there. But yet again, why would Russia agree on that? You know, it just don't really make sense. If North Korea send million troops, okay, if not million, 100,000 troops or 200,000 troops, okay, you know, one may argue that, I mean, this is quite a lot of military personnel that can definitely focus, take care of at least one sector of the front line, right? In that case, okay, I can see reasoning behind such a development, but few thousand North Korean troops not gonna change nothing on this high intensity conflict. Probably we will all agree on that. So therefore, once again, theoretically, is it possible that allow number of its troops to gain some military experience of high intensity conflict and allow them to participate in battles? Theoretically, yes, it is possible that North Korea requested such a stuff from Moscow, and theoretically speaking, it is also possible that Moscow would agree on that, although I cannot imagine why, right? But if you are asking me, do I believe that North Korean troops are actually participating in battles in zone of special military operation or in counter-terrorist operation, right now I don't believe in that, by the way. If I see any real evidences, concrete evidences, okay. But right now I did not see nothing that can confirm these rumors that are generated mainly by the regime's propaganda and Western propaganda. And I remind you, dear friends, that Washington used this topic of alleged North Korean troops in Kursk salient area to authorize long-range missile strikes deep into Russian territory, right? So they cannot now stop. They have to continue constantly pushing this most likely false narrative. And thank you very much, Daniela, for your donation through PayPal. And comment is, thank you for all your updates. Thank you, Daniela. I appreciate your support. Let me also check donation alerts. And for the future, dear friends, if, members of our community, for future community chats, members of our community on Boosty and Patreon, of course, can send a question if they have a question for live stream through private messaging on the platforms, and of course I will start Q&A part with those questions too. So let's go through chat if any more questions. Saturn is asking, do most Muslims in Russia support Assad or the Syrian rebels? Well, I can imagine most Muslims in Russia support Russia. And that's about it. I cannot speak on behalf of Russian Muslims, obviously. I don't know what their attitude is or their approach towards this Syrian story, but I can imagine they are in support of Russia, and they will support side that Russia will support, I guess. And I can tell you that Russian Muslims probably support Syrians, just ordinary Syrians, right? That's, I guess, right answer and correct answer. But yet again, I cannot speak, obviously, on behalf of Russian Muslims, and I don't have statistics on or some studies about this topic. questions. Sorry, dear friends, if I miss your question. That's why it makes it easier. Nidish Kumar is here. Hello, Nidish. Can you? And Nidish is asking how long this stream is going on. It's only like 15 minutes, 17 minutes. I just started recently. Zarael is here. Hello, Zarael. And Zarael, dear friend, I responded to you on Telegram. Sorry, I see your comment really later. I should check constantly all the pages that I have, but you know, I'm forgetting time to time. Sorry about that. Sorry about that miscommunication on my part. And thank you for attention. Ruth is here, a veteran of our community. Good to see you, and good to see all of you, dear friends. I was thinking maybe because there was a quite long pause, you know, since my last live stream, I was thinking maybe, you know, if 30, 50 members of community will join this stream, that would be great. And I can see now it's 170 of us. And thank you all, dear friends, and many thanks to all the members of our community who will watch this video later on in a recording. So let's go through questions. I don't see questions, so therefore I will go through some. Question. Nidish is asking question. Do you think South Korea coup is just a trial version, run for maybe doing coup d'etat in Georgia or Serbia? Well, I don't really think about developments in South Korea in that way. I did not really see much parallels because in South Korea, president is a political force. In Georgia, for example, president is not that powerful. In Georgia is a parliamentary republic, and prime minister is the main decision maker and government. President, you know, plays a more like symbolic role, right? So therefore, I don't think Western ruling class really needed you know, for training this South Korean scenario. They have enough assets in Georgia, unfortunately, to attempt a coup d'etat anyway, and they are in process. Reports are coming in that tomorrow, even today night and tomorrow and day after, there may be some big disturbances in Georgia. And of course, I will monitor situation to, you know, and I will share whatever news will be available. But it is good that yesterday Western-controlled opposition failed to disrupt work of parliament, and a new president of Georgia was elected. And tomorrow, mandate of current president Salome Zurabishvili is finishing. So therefore, she have to, even though she is not acknowledging parliamentary elections, presidential elections, she will have no option but to leave the office so that new president will take over. And there might be some, I can imagine the supporters of opposition will gather next to presidential palace. They will try to distract law enforcement officers to, you know, and yet again, unfortunately, there is a still high risk that Western assets in Georgia may succeed with the regime change operation. First of all, because I'm afraid Western ruling class did not yet use their assets that they have in Georgian ruling party and in Georgian security services, and unfortunately, it is highly likely that they have plenty of assets there, because I remind you that since the Shevardnadze, basically, I mean, since during the last 30 years, dozens and dozens, hundreds actually, if not more, officers of West in general, also thousands of in these 30 years, thousands of students from Georgia, of course, went to study in the Western states, including in US, and universities, as you know, are one of the grounds where secret services are recruiting their staff, future assets, right? So, and who knows, maybe some of those recruited students, at the time students, now are in a ruling party even. So therefore, I think because West did not yet use their assets that they have in a ruling party potentially, or in security services, I think there is still high risk of regime change in Georgia. But next several days gonna be crucial in that regard. Hopefully, society will stay strong and united, and government will stay strong and united, and security services out of politics. In that case, no matter what plans Washington has, they're gonna fail. And same goes, by the way, for Serbia. Quite sure same goes for Serbia, although in Serbia, president, once again, is much more influential than in Georgia. Serbia is a presidential republic, isn't it? So Vučić is much more powerful as a political figure than Salome Zurabishvili in Georgia. I hope my answer was good enough, informative enough. Let's go through some questions. Howard, the dot connector, is asking, why does Putin thinks that Trump's going to be better unless he tastes an Oreshnik on USA mainland? Well, that's a difficult question to answer, because I don't know what Putin thinks, and I'm not sure Putin thinks that Trump's presidency gonna be any better for this world, let's say, or for Russia than previous administration, or potentially administration of Kamala Harris, if she would win elections. In general, there is such a sentiment in many citizens, I guess worldwide, including in Russia, that Trump's presidency will be better for this world, because at least publicly Trump is always talking about the escalation and less wars, and he seems like to be more focused on US itself, that has quite a lot of problems, right, that needs to be addressed. But yet again, I said many times in my updates that last 4 years of Biden's administration was quite a demonstration of the fact that US is run not by president or elected officials, but some shadow forces that in no one really knows their names even, right? Because who can really believe that Biden was making any decisions at all when it comes to geopolitics, or even when it comes to US internal policies? I mean, Biden was not here for a while, right? So someone was making those decisions, and therefore it is factual that there are some shadow forces that are actually pulling the strings. So therefore, I was skeptical that Trump's presidency will be that different compared to previous administration. Although, personalities sometimes play historical roles. We know from history that even decision of one person may play a crucial role, by the way, in the world's history. Remember beginning of the First World War, how it started. There is a slight chance that Trump may act differently. During the Trump's administration, we may see a different approach from US, and therefore sentiment is quite understandable. That is in some parts of public that wants all of that. I'm still skeptical of that. I think exactly opposite might happen. And you probably noticed right now, Western ruling class is pushing this narrative, that that some ceasefire should be agreed between the sides, and then some European troops or NATO troops should get involved as a peacekeepers and stuff. And obviously, such a freezing of the conflict is not acceptable for Russia, and Moscow will disagree on that. And as a result, and of course for Russia, it is absolutely unacceptable that NATO troops will be stationed on the current line of contact. It is just a non-starter, right? And therefore, this narrative was pushed by certain forces in the West for a reason, right? Why? I think because that will allow hawks in the US, in Europe, to pushing the narrative that you see, it's Russia that is against ceasefire. It's Russia that don't want to end this conflict. And they might influence Trump also, his inner circle also, and they may come up and say, once they are in office, that we try to resolve this situation, as fast as possible. We come up with this idea and that idea. Moscow didn't accept that, and therefore we have to now escalate. That's what might happen, And all the ideas that they are coming up with they know perfectly well from the beginning that will be unacceptable for Russia. If they want real talks, they can come up with better ideas, for sure. So, that's my answer. Hope it's informative enough. But yet again, I don't know what Putin thinks, dear friends. But I would agree on notion that Western ruling elites, Western ruling class, can be deterred only with their strong action. Only with the strong action, because they don't care about warnings and messages and that kind of stuff. They prove it many times. So on this, I guess we are on the same page. Let's go through some questions. Let me check donation alerts also. So nothing here. I'm not even sure donation alert is working. This is donation alerts and Boosty are part of one company, and time to time they're experiencing some difficulties, technical issues. So questions. I don't see questions for now. So if I may, I will continue with some news, and I will keep this live stream about an hour. For this technical live stream, I guess hour is good enough, and also a good opportunity to really exchange opinion. I'm happy that so many of you are, commenting and having conversation. And so to take out positions of key regime's militants. Of course, Su-25s proved themselves to be. See, unfortunately, there is a issue with connection again. Hope not for long. I also shared on my Telegram today's video from Duran, by the way. As always, interesting. And this quite interesting news that the British Royal Navy's destroyer fleet hits historical low. Interesting reading about some numbers, but not really surprising. I can tell you that as of July, British Army had just over 73,000 active duty soldiers, the lowest number since 1823, by the way. So that's quite a telling, isn't it? Quite a telling stuff. And I guess British Defense Ministry would not be able to turn the tide in this regard unless they will introduce conscription once again, because clearly citizens of UK, younger generations, don't want to go to army and serve for whatever reasons. Maybe because people know perfectly well that in the Western states that there are armies, especially in US and in UK, that national army is being used as a sort of private military companies for certain, influential multinational corporations, hedge funds, and so on, who are paying basically politicians, right? So and then I announce live stream. I can also go through some news that of course, during the day I was preparing tomorrow's update, and I can give you some of the news. So this news from RIA Novosti is about this emergency situation in the Kerch Strait when 2 tankers were damaged as a result of a storm. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that Russian armed forces liberated Vysyoly and Pushkina settlements. This information is confirmed by Russian Defense Ministry. Although, by the way, I reported about Russian progress in this direction for quite a while ago. Also, Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that Russian armed forces raised the Russian flag in Anovka settlement and in Anovka settlement on the southern side of Kurachovo. Most likely, clearing operation is underway, and in maybe even tomorrow we will receive information that Anovka is completely under Russian control. And in today's first update, I mentioned that about 700 military personnel of Kiev regime is in cold room in and around Anovka settlement, and possibly that cold room was closed now, shut down, and it is highly likely that majority of this Kiev regime's military personnel either neutralized or surrender, and very few, probably just a few, managed to escape. Also, dear friends, this report from TASS news agency about statements of Anatoly Shary, Ukrainian journalist, politician in exile, who stated that around 20th of this month, about close to 20th of December, Kiev regime might start yet another operation, offensive operation. And if you remember this morning in an update, I mentioned that in internet there are some pictures are circulating with their new designation symbol of Kiev regime's grouping of forces, square, and forces that were involved in Kursk salient area, in invasion of Kursk, borderline parts of Kursk region. They had a triangle designation, right? And because the new group is formed, allegedly, with the square symbol, rumors start circulate that the Kiev regime may try, as I said this morning, try to invade the Bryansk region or Belgorod region, or maybe even Belarus with this new grouping of forces. Although it is also possible that this is just a media campaign to mislead the Russian side, and there will be no invasion nowhere. Anything is possible, but this Ukrainian journalist and politician Anatoly Shary, in exile, by the way, he lives in Spain, he shared information without any specifics that, according to his information, Kiev regime may start another offensive operation, potentially invasion, on 20th of December or close to this date. We will see. If anything like that will happen, I hope Russian side is ready to deal with their invading force, and hopefully Belarus is also ready. Belarusian armed forces and Russian contingent in Belarus. Vzglyad newspaper is also reporting that in the Kursk salient area during the previous 24 hours, Kiev regime lost about 400 military personnel as a result of counter-terrorist operation that Russian armed forces conducting there. Overall number of casualties of Kiev regime since the beginning of invasion in this borderline area of the Kursk region is amounted to more than 40,000, almost 41,000 troops for this moment. 40,800. Also 241 tanks were destroyed, tanks of the Kiev regime. More than 1,200 armored vehicles, more than 300 artillery systems, 40 multi-launch rocket systems, including 11 HIMARS launchers, and a number of other military equipment. Entire army, basically, that was trained and armed and prepared, basically, by NATO exactly for this invasion. Entire this army almost completely destroyed. Now Kiev regime is sending forcefully mobilized staff. So initial grouping of forces that were involved in the first weeks of this operation, they are basically decimated, and now majority of Kiev regime's troops in Kursk salient area are forcefully mobilized and foreign mercenaries. Also, we have this report from RIA Novosti that Russian armed forces, as a result of long-range precise strike, destroyed 4 launchers for Patriot air defense system, which is a big deal, obviously. Also, AN MPQ-65 radar station was destroyed, and a station of command and control station of this Patriot air defense system. So, one may argue entire battery of Patriot was wiped out, I guess. That would be correct assumption. Let me check on the chat. Questions. So Nidish Kumar is asking, should BRICS nations have its own merchant shipping and cargo vessels with easy port access, and insurance burden is shared by all? For sure. Insurance, main thing is insurance. I guess fleet itself is not an issue, but unfortunately, world shipping was highly dependent on Western insurance, right? London was playing crucial part in it, and right now, whenever you see a report in Western propaganda outlets about shadow Russian fleet, you know what that means? That those vessels were not insured by Western companies, by London companies that mainly are based in London. That's what they mean. These vessels may be insured with some other companies outside of the West, but the Western ruling class only considers legit vessels and shipment that they insure, because they want to have all their profits, right? So therefore, of course, insurance development of insurance should be, and most likely are, priority of the BRICS member states, because BRICS is a foundation stone of emerging multipolar world, and of course, world cannot be dependent and should not be dependent on the Western financial and the banking system, and including Western insurance system. That's for sure. So I'm on same page with you, Nidish, on this topic. Definitely, BRICS should pay, and probably BRICS is paying attention to this topic. It is necessary. I see Zarael is asking, Levan, as a Georgian, what is your opinion on what is happening there? It's an attempt of regime change, for sure. It is an attempt of regime change, and unfortunately, in comparison to previous at least 3 attempts of regime change that happened in past several years, this time, I'm afraid, Western ruling class is much more involved. This so-called opposition and non-governmental organizations and the media that are Western financed by the West, or from the Western sources, or through Western sources, financed and also supported and organized these groups, and controlled, obviously. These groups clearly are demonstrating higher readiness and these extremists were walking around the central part of Tbilisi with walkie-talkie, with their gas masks. I saw gas masks were given to these organized groups of radicals, right? So in many cases, current situation in Georgia resembles what to developments that we see in Kiev in 2014, right? And there are many other reasons why I believe Washington, Western secret services are much more involved now, much more invested, and therefore, if order is given that coup d'etat has to happen, then I'm afraid Western ruling class will start using their assets, as I already said, their assets that they most likely have in a ruling party, in security services, and if this is the case, then we will find out about it in upcoming days. Maybe even tonight or tomorrow, when presidential mandate of current president Salome Zurabishvili will expire and she have to leave office. So in upcoming days, fate of Georgia may be decided. I hope society there will stay strong, united. Government will stay united, and there are security services out of politics. But yet again, I'm afraid if decision makers in the West are 100% in for regime change, if all the orders are given, then I'm afraid some extreme escalation might happen in Georgia, and we might even observe regime change in that case. This is clearly a Western operation to remove current government of Georgia. Western ruling class wanted Georgia to be sacrificed, as Ukraine was sacrificed by Ukrainian so-called elites, and current leadership of Georgia said no. They would not sacrifice Georgia, and that's enough. That's enough for Western ruling class to become their enemy, and they will try whatever they can to take you out in that case. And we are observing results of that mainly in capital Tbilisi, where all these protests and disturbances, riots basically are taking place. So this is clearly attempt of regime change in the country, 100%. And unfortunately, if Western assets, succeed in this, I'm afraid Georgia may not survive. Georgia, as we know it, may just not survive such a development. Georgia may end up simultaneously in conflicts in multiple directions. There might be issues not just between Tbilisi and Tsrinvali, between Tbilisi and Sukhumi, or Tbilisi and South Ossetia and Abkhazia, but we might see disturbances in some Agrelo region, we might see disturbances in some Srija region, in Adjaria region. Georgia may end up in very difficult situation, in conflicts, even potentially military conflicts, not just with Russia, for example. If these Western assets manage to overthrow government and take power, Georgia may end up in a conflict also with neighboring Armenia, and even Turkey may get involved at some point and establish control, let's say, over their Batumi city, which is capital of Adjaria on the Black Sea coast. So Turkey may get involved there. I mentioned Batumi. Armenia may get involved there, and eventually, one way or another, Tbilisi might lose control over the Samtskhe-Javakheti and parts of Adjaria that will allow, for example, Armenian population in Samtskhe-Javakheti and eventually Armenia to have access to Black Sea. So, many things might happen. Many things, devastating stuff for Georgia. So that's why I may just undergo complete disintegration. as it happened many times in history of Georgia, by the way. Right? So that's what is going on, in my opinion, but we will see. And it's already 50 minutes, dear friends. So hopefully there are not too many technical issues. And when it comes to hour, I will end this first live stream. I have a question here. Stavros Karagorgis is asking, what do you think RF can do which will deter the collective West, Levan? Well, I always talk about necessity to deter Western ruling class, because before they authorize next phase of escalation with Russia, which is, in my personal opinion, going to be transformation of Kyiv regime into a nuclear armed regime. And if you take in account risks, if my reading of the big picture is correct, and if you take in account risks that this transformation of Kyiv regime, potential transformation of Kyiv regime into a nuclear regime might cause, then I think Russian hands are open to take whatever actions are necessary on whatever scale to deter Western ruling class. After all, Russia's nuclear doctrine was updated just recently, right? And so I'm not for nuclear weapons to be used, that's for sure. But I think nuclear testing on Novaya Zemlya, nuclear test site, can be one step towards, deterring Western ruling class. Although even nuclear tests don't do much, because so therefore very hard choices. I mean, very hard decisions have to be made. And for example, as an example, by the way, I can tell you that Russia can take out, for example, British base on Cyprus. UK has military base on Cyprus, as we all know, and that base may be neutralized. 30 minutes warning can be given so that London will have time to evacuate its personnel. But 30 minutes, 20-30 minutes, definitely not enough to evacuate all the military equipment. So if Russia will take out that base with their conventional weapon systems, by the way, I'm not talking about nuclear strike, conventional weapon systems. If Russia will take out, that base, that will definitely force London to think again about further steps. If Russia will take out a US military base in Poland that was recently opened, base of anti-missile system, that will also probably will create a new reality that will force Western ruling class to think twice before they will go ahead with the next phase of escalation with Russia. One may argue that, well, if Russia will strike British and US military assets, then UK and US might retaliate. Yes, there is such a risk that they will retaliate. And then Russia will retaliate. And at some point, Western ruling class will still be forced to acknowledge that further escalation means full-scale nuclear war with Russia, and then they have to make choice. Are they want to die or they want to live? We are in very dangerous times, by the way, and there is no easy ways out of this crisis that was created by Western ruling class, right? So there is no easy way out from here. So before the escalation, we will most likely see very big escalation. No matter how much Moscow wants to avoid that escalation, eventually I believe Russian leadership will have no option but to take some strong steps to deter Western ruling class. And I can give you, my take what these strong steps can be. Although Kremlin may decide otherwise, but anyways, whatever Moscow will decide, I mean, action has to be strong enough, powerful enough to deter Western ruling. We all know that. So therefore, that's my take. I don't know what Moscow will do, obviously, but if US or UK or France will authorize one more strike deep into Russian territory with the long-range missile systems, I guess after that we will find out what Moscow will do to deter Western ruling class and Western so-called elites. As you know, recent Russian relatively large-scale drone and missile strike on military and logistics infrastructure of the Kyiv regime, including energo infrastructure, was called by Russian Defense Ministry a retaliation for a long-range strike that was conducted a few days earlier towards a Russian airfield in Rostov region. But we all understand that such a missile or drone strikes that Russia conducts every now and then cannot be seen by Western ruling class as a deterrent, right? So I don't think they will stop escalating, and therefore something else has to be done. And the Russian president was very clear, isn't it? Putin said that if such a long-range strikes will happen, then we will consider assets, military assets of these countries that are involved in these strikes as legit targets. And when Putin was talking about Oreshnik strikes, he said that if and when we will decide to deploy Oreshnik once again, this intermediate range hypersonic ballistic missile system, we will give opposite side some 30 minutes warning, so that they will have opportunity to evacuate people, right? So who knows, maybe Russia will take out some assets of their countries that are involved in these long-range strikes deep into Russian territory. Maybe some other action will be taken, by the way. Yet again, I'm working with the news that we all are receiving from open sources, right? And my hope is that I'm analyzing situation well enough. That's all, really. Of course, Kremlin is not sharing with me what plans they have. Suddenly, we may wake up one day and some undersea communication cables may be neutralized. Immensely important for the West, collective West, undersea cables. For example, ones that are connecting US and UK. That might cause some significant disturbances, especially on the markets, right? And there are different ways, right? And Russia has every means to act and every reason to act. And Russia has the right to defend itself, right? So that's my take on this topic, dear friend. Hopefully my answer is informative enough. And anyways, we will find out. Let's hope Western ruling class will not authorize additional strike deep into Russian territory with ATACMS, Storm Shadow, Scalp PGs, or whatever long-range weapons they already deployed in Kyiv-controlled territory. But if such strikes will take place, then Moscow will have no option but to take some strong enough action that will really deter West. If you remember, I was saying for many months that at some point, due to constant escalation by the West, Russian leadership will find itself in a corner from which they might see only one way out. Since the first long-range strike deep into Russian territory, we are in that situation. And I'm even a bit surprised that Russian leadership is still exercising this restraint. They have still nerves. Okay, I can acknowledge that. I give them that. But unfortunately, Western ruling class will not stop until they are forced to stop. And if Russia will not force them, rethink their approaches, then I'm afraid in 3 to 5 months' time, we will talk not just about long-range strikes deep into Russian territory, but long-range strikes with drones and missiles that may be tipped with atomic bombs. That Kyiv regime will build, acquire with active support of NATO member states, US first of all. So to make sure that this next phase of escalation, transformation of Kyiv regime into a nuclear armed regime will never happen, Moscow has to act and act now. That's how I see, anyways. Maybe I'm wrong, dear friends. I mean, this is also a possibility, isn't it? Maybe I'm completely mistaken and I'm reading big picture wrongly. Also, I mean, can be the case, right? So, and I can share with just what I think is happening, and then time will tell us. Also, dear friends, I can see question, and I lost it. That's yes, Zarael is commenting Cyprus has there is a British occupied territories on Cyprus. It is true, by the way, when UK granted independence to Cyprus, they left for themselves certain territories of Cyprus. They never give up on those territories. Questions. I just saw a question and lost it, by the way. Oh, that's it. Emil Progeano is asking, can Putin ask Turkey to take Georgia? No way, by the way. No way. I think if Western ruling class succeed with a regime change in Georgia, which is going to be devastation for Georgia for sure, at some point Moscow will have to intervene, even if Russian leadership wants nothing to do with that crisis. And I'm quite sure Russian leadership has enough problems on its hands to get involved in yet another crisis situation. But because of historical ties between Russia and Georgia, because of their relationships between the people, and by the way, don't listen to those Russophobes that you might find in Georgia. Many people in Georgia, majority of Georgian people, they are not xenophobes, they are no Russophobes. Despite these decades of anti-Russian propaganda, many people in Georgia still have a normal attitude, absolutely normal attitude, and same here in Russia, by the way. You're not gonna see crazy anti-Georgian sentiment in Russian public. So because of these relationships between the people, because of the history, if Western ruling elite succeed overthrowing current government, and if in that case, when chaos will erupt there, at some point Russia will have to intervene and save basically whatever will be possible to save, right? And secure people, ordinary people. But if that happens, I'm quite sure Moscow would, not because Moscow wants to do it, but because Moscow will have no option but to get involved because of these historical ties, because people have to be saved. And Georgia, by the way, if this revolution, so-called revolution, happens there, I hope not, but if Western assets succeed there, that's going to be the end of Georgia as we know it in current form. Georgia will not survive, I'm afraid. And when it comes to Turkey, by the way, unfortunately, based on Kars agreement between Russian Empire and Turkey, based on which Georgia received the Ajaria region and Samtskhe Javakheti region, based on that agreement, Turkey has a legal right to intervene in Ajaria's affairs if Ajaria is attacked by third party. Which means that if, for example, after, if regime change happens in Georgia and then situation escalates in Samtskhe Javakheti, where predominantly Armenian people are living, majority, if situation, escalates there, if Armenia will get involved directly, then Turkey will have legal means to intervene based on Kars agreement. And Turkey might take, in that case, Turkey might take establish control over the certain areas of Ajaria, maybe even Samtskhe-Javakheti region. Ajaria was controlled by Turkey, part of Ottoman Empire, for 300 years until Russian Empire liberated these territories and give it back to Georgia, right? And Erdogan openly said, I believe, that Batumi is a Turkish city, and there is a huge Turkish investments in Batumi, by the way. Huge Turkish investments. So if a situation escalates, if things go, towards, escalatory ladder, then and if Armenia will get involved one way or another, then Turkey will also do it, and Georgia may lose Samtskhe-Javakheti and significant parts of Ajaria, if not entirely that region. Yet again, I hope my reading of big picture is mistaken, but I see certain risks, right, based on information that I was working with for last I don't know, man, as far as I remember myself, right? So after all, I predicted correctly a conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and I predicted way before Azerbaijan managed to reestablish control over the lost territories, including Nagorno-Karabakh, that Baku will manage to do so, and Armenia would not fight. And the reason why Armenia would not fight, in my analytics, was that most likely, I was thinking that Western ruling class most likely would promise Armenia access to Black Sea. And how Armenia gonna gain access to Black Sea? Only through Georgian territories, Samtskhe-Javakheti, and then part of Ajaria. And there is a direct connection, by the way, between Samtskhe-Javakheti and Ajaria. So it is what it is, and Moscow will be very much not happy if something will happen involved, or Armenia, but yet again, I mean, Moscow cannot be everywhere all the time, right? Eventually, if things situation goes down extremely badly, still Russian leadership will have no option but to get involved and save as many people as possible there in Georgia. So that's why I hope, by the way, these Western assets that are trying to destabilize Georgia and conduct regime change and then sacrifice for more than a month now, since 26th of October, isn't it? Even before that. That's why I hope that these Western assets will not succeed and Georgia will survive. Also questions. It's already more than an hour, by the way, that our stream is going. Questions. Let me check here. Nothing here. So few more questions if I see it, and then I guess that's it for today's stream. Bencher Dent is here. Michael Kennedy is here. Green 44. Thank you all, dear friends. Thank you all for joining this stream, for community chat. And I don't really see question. I'm probably missing questions here. Bencher Dent is asking what could be the reason for the secret visit of Israeli top-level minister to meet Putin. I guess you are referring to information that broke a couple of weeks ago. Even photos were circulating on internet at that point about, of Israeli airplane, transport airplane that was spotted somewhere in Russia, in one of the airports. And now I guess main speculation will be that what happened in Syria was basically pre-planned by all the major capitals, by Israeli leadership, Russian leadership, Turkish leadership, US leadership, leadership of Arab countries. And of course, I have no, I cannot debunk this narrative that being created, right? That everything that happened in Syria in last few weeks was pre-planned. I don't know. I just don't know. But maybe you are, asking this question in that regard. That what was, topic of discussion. If we go down to this narrative that whatever happened in Syria was pre-planned, then who knows? Maybe this Israeli high-ranking official was in Moscow to discuss these developments, or maybe some other stuff that is. I just don't know. I just don't know, dear friends. Anything that I say is going to be speculation because we just don't know. Objectively speaking, we just don't know. We only can guess, right? And many people are surprised how rapidly this Israeli, US, UK, Turkish backed and controlled terrorist groups advanced into Syria. I am surprised also. I didn't expect Syrian Arab army to collapse in a way that they did. Oh, Jerry Kogan, thank you very much for donation on Boosty. And Jerry Kogan is commenting, I'm glad to see their live streams back. Thank you, Jerry. I'm glad to be online also, dear friends. I miss this program because this is community chat, right? This is just casual conversation between members of our community, which is great, right? So I love this program, and I wanted to return, but because of these technical issues, I was I was unable to make these live streams. I was afraid that there are going to be too many technical issues. But if today's stream, dear friends, is okay, if there are not many issues with buffering and stuff, then please tell me about it in the comment section, and I will continue with these live streams every Sundays. So community chat will be back. And yes, on the topic of question that Bencher the Enter is asking, yes, maybe all that stuff is pre-planned, and there was some knowledge among certain people in major capitals. Maybe not. We will never know about it. We will never know. So hard to tell, dear friend. Nidish Kumar is commenting that there are slightly buffering issue. Thank you for letting me know. Twice I noticed, I received notification from OBS Studio that their connection was lost, and after like 10 seconds, connection was back. That's an issue that whenever I'm streaming with through VPN, it's always going to be like that. So sorry for that technical issues. And by the way, when it comes to situation in Syria, yet again, I mean, I don't know what happened, if there was any agreement between major capitals, but I think Turkey play a key role for sure in current developments, and I think it is highly likely that Turkey had a bite that it cannot swallow. Nidish Kumar is commenting, Levan, not a big issue. So if so, then we may say these community chats are back. So every Sunday, approximately this time at 6 o'clock in the evening, for example, I will do live streams, and we can just exchange opinions about anything really. These live streams are for us, for our community. That's how it is. And so yes, hopefully I give a good enough answer on the venture that is question. But yes, to finalize that topic, I think Turkey may have a bite that it cannot swallow. Man, this current situation may become beginning of the end of Turkey itself. I don't know, but Turkey is in a very difficult situation in many ways, right? Economically, for example, relationships between Turkey and Arab countries are definitely not at its best, and so I don't know if Ankara can pull it off really. Auracraft is asking, did you keep in contact with your former journalist colleagues in Georgia? How do they feel about their protests in Tbilisi? Well, I'm in touch with some. I'm not with all, because as you can imagine, I was in journalism when I was 17. That's when I made first steps in this field, and and I was working in news agencies mainly, and I know dozens and dozens of journalists. Unfortunately, some of those journalists are on side of this Western-backed so-called opposition, unfortunately, and with some of them I had a confrontation on internet, by the way, years ago. Right now I'm not even getting involved. But back in the days, I was quite active in Georgian segment of internet, and it was unfortunate that people that I know for a long time, people that to whom I helped to even start their career in journalism, those people were mistaken and take a side of these anti-Georgian forces that were controlled by the West during the Saakashvili, for example, and after that time. But it is what it is. What you're gonna do about it? Some are on side of this so-called opposition. Others are on opposite side. That's how it is. But when it comes to involvement in some Georgian segment of internet, for example, or I'm staying as far as I possibly can. I'm not involved in any ways. I'm not commenting in Georgian, nothing. I'm not active in Georgian segment, or that's how it is now. Although time to time, by the way, on Facebook, I may write something, but that's about it, really. And question, Didish Kumar is asking, Levan, how is your daughter studies going on? When we will see her as a journalist? Oh, she's doing okay. She's doing okay. She's helping me with the programs that I do on a Patreon time to time. We made several programs, by the way, on Patreon and Boosty. We made several programs together. But she is really, really busy. I mean, I did not expect. I went through Faculty of Journalism myself, right? And I know that this faculty is a difficult one. But here, by the way, I was studying in Georgia, in Tbilisi State University. And my daughter is studying in Moscow in one of the Russian universities. And even though I was warning her that this is difficult profession and it takes time, right? I didn't expect that she would be this busy. I mean, she is in a first grade. That's the right way, isn't it, to say it? She just started. She just entered university, and she's so busy that she don't even have a time to participate in these combined programs that we did several times. But still, I mean, she's doing okay. She's doing okay. She's adapting to this very intense schedule. And thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. You know, everything is okay, and she will be good, successful journalist. I believe she has a natural. She naturally can write, and you know, maybe she is a future good writer. I hope so. So Sean Murray is asking, what do you think of Israeli government closing its embassy in Ireland? I guess this was reaction of Israel for a decision of Dublin to join South Africa in case against Israel. Well, this is a just political step that most likely will be relevant for time being, and then things will return to previous times, you know. But I was a bit surprised when I see news that Ireland join South Africa in this case. So, you know, well done, well done to Ireland, by the way. What can I say? Well done to Ireland. Seems like Irish leadership definitely has more independence than many other European countries. I guess. But yet again, when it comes to actions of Israel, I mean, unfortunately, we all observe situation when world community was absolutely unable to stop these horrible developments that we observe in Gaza, then in Lebanon. So therefore, probably world leaders have to think, you know, in which direction they are pushing this world, and even this world community, this understanding of world community can be questioned now, because I mean, do we really have a community in this world? Does UN means anything, or other international institutions? I don't know. They do mean something, but unfortunately, they are not as effective as many people would like them to be. So yes, dear friends, once again, thank you all. Levan, Sudan's situation is even worse. No one even mentions it. Nidish Kumar is asking. Well, yes, situation in Sudan is quite difficult. There is a civil war. Initially, Sudan was break apart, isn't it? There was Southern Sudan was created, which is oil rich, and then rest of the Sudan, with Khartoum being capital, Khartoum, or you know, and then civil war broke inside this inside Sudan, and the country, even capital is divided, right? And I guess situation will not be resolved in Sudan for quite a while, because yet again it's all about resources, isn't it? It's all about resources. So yes, dear friends, it's 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours. So I have to end this update. Thank you all for participating. Truly grateful. And I mean, let me check before I go. So truly grateful, dear friends. And if these live streams, by the way, are okay, then I may say that I will resume this community chat. So every Sunday, approximately 6 o'clock in the evening Moscow time, I will make this live streams, and we can have opportunity to exchange opinions in real time, because it's good. It's good to have direct communication, isn't it? So thank you all. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye for now.